Hello, I'm Christian. I'm the resident wildlife photographer on Thanda Safari, a game reserve in the northern part of KwaZulu Natal in South Africa. Most beautiful area. And as most of you have to be stay at home during the lockdown, so do I. But my stay at home means on the reserve, which is very lucky. I have been able to go out virtually every day to take pictures of animals and wildlife. And I did some of videos and pictures and brought them to you via social media. Some of my friends have asked me, why don't you use this time and these opportunities to also answer some questions that people might have about wildlife photography? And I thought that's a good idea, and so if some of you may like it, we will see. But I will try start with this first little video today. And the idea is that when I do these videos, you post any additional questions you might have for the future in the comments of the video, or send me a little email. I put my email address in the bottom of the text, and then I will answer these in the next little video. So let's see if we can get some videos going together. I have a question up front that I get from most people nowadays, and the question is actually, can I use a mobile phone for wildlife photography? And the answer is yes and no. Now, it is obvious that this has not the same capability as a big camera that has good long lenses, or even a small point-and-shoot camera with a long lens on it, with a very long zoom lens. But there is possibilities what you can do with a mobile phone. The first thing is to understand is that what are the limitations, and the real limitation is that mobile phones with their smartphones, with them even with multiple cameras, the most modern ones nowadays come with 2 or 3, are mainly laid out for wide-angle work or maximum standard length lens work, which means that anything that's further away, you have to do what they call zooming when you use your fingers and pinch here. In reality, that's not really zooming, you're just cropping the picture, because there is no real zoom lenses built into these phones. So when you actually do zooming on the phone, it's the same as you would cut the picture afterwards, virtually the same. There might be a little difference in the electronics they use, but generally speaking, the pictures that you do when you zoom in are pretty bad. So what can then the camera be used for? Well, number one is there's a lot of things to photograph on Safari where you don't need to zoom in. One is beautiful landscapes, which can be done easily, especially with animals in it. The capability, especially of the modern phones, with when you do sunrises and sunsets, you can do some wonderful material, and also any landscape, even without animals, works very, very well. The real advantage of these cameras is that they deal quite well with contrast differences, even better than most of the big and small cameras that you buy normally. So you can actually, in bad weather conditions, usually create much better pictures quickly than you can do with this equipment, where you need to put much more work into it. The second thing that I like to do with them is do close-ups, anything like little birds, little plants or little insects that you can get down to, and take the flower, take the picture of a flower, or picture of anything that is actually needs a bit of macro photography. Important again is that you don't zoom in, you actually leave your camera fully zoomed out and you go close with the camera in the mobile phone, and that will create some very, very beautiful, stunning images that you can do with them. Now, lots of things try to fly away, and some of the things are dangerous there, so don't go too close to those. Another thing that one can do with those is actually quite good little movies. With movies, you just have to make sure that you decide first if you want to do a landscape or a portrait movie. I always recommend to do landscape because it's more versatile, usable on more platforms. And then there you actually have to first zoom in and then try to hold that thing as steady as you can when you take the picture, the movie of whatever animals you take pictures of. Don't move around, fiddle around too much. It actually makes worse images. Now, having done all that, so we've done the landscapes, we've done the animals that are a bit further away in groups, and maybe if you're in a private game reserve like Thanda, you sometimes get very close, then yeah, that's even great. That is great. Then you can actually take even pictures of animals that are fairly close up. And I actually use a selfie stick to get down to the ground which is a funny procedure. You know, you stick your camera on the selfie stick instead of taking selfies, you use it to get down. Especially for the older ones like me that have problems with their knees, this is a good way of getting down to flower heights or on anything like insects or anything that you need to go down. But even if lions walk by your car and your guide is okay with that, and the lines are quite relaxed, you stick the camera with the phone first down there and then let the video run, and it gets you some really, really interesting imagery. Now, if you now come to the shots that normally, where you would normally use one of those zoom lenses and you would zoom in, so you would actually go very close, or even with the little point and shoot cameras, you would normally go and extend the lens fully to zoom in. And then you get these wonderful pictures of animals really close up, especially if you have expensive glass and equipment. That is not really possible with a phone. But if you want to carry a little bit extra equipment, then you can do some things that are quite interesting. One is you can buy these little clip-on lenses that are designed for smartphones. And the way they work is you actually attach them and you put them in front of the lens here. It sometimes gets a bit fiddly. You secure them nicely, and once you've done that, you can actually nicely zoom in. And you're not using zooming here, but you need to actually manual focus. It's a fixed focus. You can't really zoom back and forth. You can just use telefocus, but you can zoom in onto that face of that lion or that elephant that's a bit further away, and you still get some pretty decent shots. Good idea with these is to find some steadiness on the vehicle, because once you have that attached, image stabilization is no longer an option. Gets sometimes a bit fiddly to add it on first, but it works on most iPhones. Now, on the market you will find some really long ones. They almost look like little far telefocus lenses. I don't like those. Try to get something between 8 and 12 times magnification, not more than that. Because more than that in magnification makes it very, very difficult to hold steady. Now, I have heard a lot of criticism of people saying, yeah, but the quality isn't that good. No, the quality is not as good as with an SLR, or probably not even as good as with a good point and shoot. But it is much, much better than if you go with the regular pinch zoom option. So yeah, that's that. And if you carry binoculars anyway, and you know many of you are birders, if you actually have binoculars with you, then by all means you can use the binoculars either by holding them nice and steady, bringing your phone in front of them, and then sort of shoot through the binoculars. Important is that you're not setting the binoculars directly, the camera directly on the ocular. You need to actually have a distance to it, and that's good with the distance pieces that normally you bring out for glasses. Now, I found a little tool on the internet which was not that expensive, not that cheap either. It was about 40 euros, I think. But it is very, very good. It looks a bit plasticky, but it's the only one that I found that I really made work. This one you set up once for your phone properly and for your binos. So when you want to use this on your binoculars, you click it onto your binoculars here. And it has been preset basically once when I adjusted it. So in the binocular, the ocular is in the right position here. And then I just use and set my phone into it and make sure that the phone's camera is right on top of that lens. Once I've done that, I secure the phone, and now I have a very stable platform where I can shoot, and I shoot through the binoculars. I have included, while I was talking, obviously, some of the pictures. I will give you a few pictures now, and I've included a few little insert pictures here. But what I will do is now I will add at the end of the video these pictures in a bit larger scale, in full scale, so you can actually see the results of them. If you have any questions about this, let me know. So the answer to your question, is the iPhone, the smartphone, the right tool or a possible tool for Safari? The answer is yes and no. And if you feel like you want to do it only with a phone, you can. I've actually done on purpose a couple safaris where I left my cameras at home. I only went out with the phone, with the smartphone and with the binoculars, and I got actually some quite good images. It wasn't as satisfying for me as a photographer as going out with a proper camera, but if you'd like to travel light, and if that's what you would like to try to accomplish, then yes, you can do a safari with an iPhone, and I would welcome you here at Thanda to do it with me here if you feel like it. Have a good day.